Well, I stopped pricing jobs by the square. I don't do that at all. And like people always ask me, what do you charge per square for shingle? What do you charge per square for metal? And I don't even really give them an answer because that's not how we price our jobs. So we have our little job nimbus estimating format or whatever. And for every type of roof, we have line item by line item, everything that job will take. So all the material, line item by line item, how much drip edge, how much valley, how much gable, all that. And then what's the labor going to cost? What's the permit going to cost? What's the dump going to cost? And then we get our little costs, we throw our profit margin on it, and that's the price. And then you can start, once you do that, you can start to play around with the profit margin you're estimating jobs at and like see how it'll affect your closing percentage. So like if you go on a run where everyone's selling you too expensive, you can take maybe 4% profit margin off the prices you're giving out and see how that goes. So you can start to play with it a little more because you have an idea what kind of prices you're giving at, where you're at, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because you also mentioned there's two parts of it, right? There's the specific job and your closing percentage on that, right? And then there's, you still have to have a certain number of volume to cover your fixed costs.
Right.
So you have to be able to understand both. So when you're playing with, is that what you're thinking about when you're playing with those profit
exactly.
margins?
So if you find out what your monthly expenses are and you have that number, well, then you know how many jobs. And then you know how many jobs at, say you're making 30% profit margin on the jobs, 30% gross. You know how many jobs you have to do at 30% gross to cover your expenses. And then everything after that you do in sales, you make 30% of, you keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On jobs that, as you've gone through this process, on jobs that you ended up, with much less profit on, what were some of the common things that happened on those jobs?
There's so many of them. A lot of it is us going the extra mile to do a good job because I'm a roofer and I want to do everything right. So like, if a flashing detail, we needed to cut out the siding and install new flashing and trim it back together, things like that, like cutting out stucco and installing stucco and just going above and beyond to try to, give the best quality job and not pricing for it. Missing stuff and just pricing by the square, not knowing my numbers. I said, we're high. We're high because I don't know. I pay good labor. We use good material. I have a decent amount of employees for the size of the amount of work we do. So just because some company, he might be working out of his house with one crew, that's a sub crew where mine are employees, like that number may work for him. It doesn't work for us.
That's right.
Pricing jobs based on what everyone else is doing means nothing. I have to know what the jobs cost me, what my business costs me.